Sister Cara J, you come in. We're not going, probably won't be seeing much. Brother Sherry going to come to and sing lead us in this song. I was blessed a couple of Sunday afternoons ago with a special duet, so more of the same. Using the same way.
Okay. 3, 4, 1 in the new, to God be the glory.
That was nice, wasn't it? Praise the Lord. Okay, so doing a bit of a health feature here. Recent findings on the importance of dietary fiber. Now, we understand the Advent movement, the rise of the three angels' messages was a response to prophecy and a fulfillment of prophecy, and it's still ongoing. And we understood from 1844 onward that God had begun a new work in the heavenly sanctuary in the most holy place, a finishing work and end-time work with implications for what should be done on earth, what was happening in heaven, what should be done on earth, and how God's people were to prepare for the final events and the second coming of Christ. And shortly after the opening of that message, after 1844, we noted that Sister White emerged with the prophetic gift. We noticed that her writings began to focus heavily on something called the great controversy between Christ and Satan. And it was evident that that controversy, the understanding of that controversy, and the place of that controversy was important to the final events, the movement that God raised up, and the finishing of the work. All had to be understood in the context of the great controversy and the role of God's character in that controversy. Also, very shortly after the rise of the movement, Sister White began to receive messages on health, messages on diet, use of water, the importance of sunlight, the importance of air, the importance of rest, and not only diet, but the time of eating. She began to be saying that we shouldn't be eating all day long. We should be eating 2 or 3 meals a day. The stomach needed rest between meals. It was good for discipline. The word used was temperance. It was important. Abstemiousness, and so on. Recently, now the message was simple, it was straightforward. There wasn't much science to back it up. We had to accept it by faith, and as I said this morning, do what was right, leave the rest to God. He had sent a message to get his people over the Jordan into the promised land. The 3 angels' messages and the health message was called the right arm of the gospel. Recently, if you notice Brother Douglas losing some weight, well, recently, we know that Sister White talked about abstemiousness, rest, fasting, and fasting is not only like deciding that you're not going to eat for a few days. Fasting has to do with the resting of the stomach between meals and the resting of the stomach during the night, so that we need to eat early and allow the stomach time to empty before we sleep. Recently, people have been proving, research after research coming out, showing that fasting is good for the overall health. Resting the stomach between meals and then at night, and then sometimes for a day or two, benefited the body, benefited the overall health, benefited the brain, benefited the nervous system, benefited the health in many ways, totally, fully, completely. That's resting, that's fasting. Now, in terms of the diet, and therefore the importance of eating only 2 or 3 meals a day and finishing them early so that the stomach could rest during the night. Now, in terms of the actual diet itself, Sister White advocated a turning away from meat, flesh, and meat products, and a move towards the diet being composed mainly and hopefully totally of fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, legumes. Legumes would include beans and peas and things of that family. Fruits, all types of fruits. Vegetables, all types of vegetables, including as much raw vegetables as possible. Grains have to do with things like barley, oats, wheat, corn. Those things are the grains. And she said whole grains. Whole meaning that even if you ground it, you kept all the various parts together. So that what we had, even in her day, was people milling the grain, refining the grain, separating the germ and the bran, and so on, and we ended up with white flour. And they did the rice in such a way, ended up with white rice. Sister White said, we need to eat the entire grain. The rice should be what we call brown rice, but not brown in terms of color, but brown in terms of whole, where the outer layer is kept, is not polished off, and the inner layer is kept as well. In terms of wheat, our bread should be made with whole flour. I came up in a time when the bran from the wheat was separated and sold separate as something good. The germ was taken off the wheat and sold separate as a fantastic health food, wheat germ. And we were left with the white flour to make our dumplings, our bakes, our bread, and so on. It was the worst part of the flour. Sister White said, eat the whole grain. Now, she didn't have much scientific input as to why it should be. That's what she said. We were to accept it by faith. Eat the whole oats. Eat the whole corn. And when I say whole, it doesn't mean that you don't grind it. If you grind it, still keep the whole package of flour together. The bran, the sperm, the endosperm, and all the other parts of it. Nuts. Plenty of nuts around, pistachios, cashews, almonds, peanuts, walnuts. What's the other one? Pecans, however you pronounce it. All nuts. She said, make sure that there are nuts in the diet. Fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts. And then the beans and the peas, lentils, garbanzos, which are also called chana or chickpea. Barbados, we use a lot of pigeon peas. They are red beans, they are lima beans, black beans, all types of beans. She said, use the beans. Fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts. Get good rest, plenty of water, rest the stomach between meals. That's what she said. This is what we were to go with. Accept it by faith, go with it. It was the right arm of the gospel. It was part of God's end time message for getting his people over the Jordan into the promised land. All right. All sorts of opposition arose to this message from within and without the church. People start raising questions like, so if you don't turn vegetarian, you can't get to heaven? You think God interested in what we eat? All right. Then people from outside saying, well, we gone back to the old Levitical health laws. Those are part of the old covenant. They're not relevant. No. And God's people, rather than following the message by faith, listen to the skeptics. And up to now, God's people have not, in sufficiently large numbers, embraced the message. In the meantime, the world was changing. So we had a situation where, because governments, societies, the World Health Organization, all these people are looking for the optimal health of the people. Not necessarily, well, truly, yes, because they are concerned about health, but also because health is an economic factor. These people are concerned about money. But they're also concerned about health. And they're doing research upon research to find out what is the best health for our people. Never mind that it's politically correct now to have big and beautiful shows. So you're not supposed to say that people are fat, obese, or overweight because that's insulting. It is, it was what? Fat shaming. Something phobic. There has to be a phobia in it. And so on. But governments, the World Health Organization, the people at high levels concerned with health are realizing that too big is a problem. All right. They're looking for ways to get people to reduce weight and live a healthy lifestyle with as much weight taken off as is healthily necessary. Obviously, there were some people that went in the other direction and ended up with something called anorexia nervosa. But that had to do with the magazines and so on showing a picture of beauty that had women looking kind of skinny and eating little, and obviously some women therefore felt that in order to be beautiful, they had to eat as little as possible, look as skinny as possible, and they ended up with this thing called anorexia nervosa. But that was a problem. But the basic point for the World Health Organization and different governments was reducing the weight of their people and how to do that. Okay. So they looked around. They looked at different populations in the world. They looked at the people in Okinawa, Japan, and noticed that they were reasonably slim and they lived long lives. They looked at another population somewhere else, some people up in the Himalayas, I think. Well, living in hills has a lot to do with being healthy too. When I go into places like Trinidad and St. Lucia and St. Vincent, I like to climb the hills. People laugh at us here in Barbados and say, what hills y'all talking about? But anyhow. One of the populations they surveyed was Adventists, an Adventist population living in Loma Linda, California, in the United States. What did they find? That these Adventists were among the healthiest populations in the world in terms of body weight, in terms of longevity, in terms of general health. What did they find? That these Adventists, the more they adhere to the health message presented by Sister White, the healthier their health index. Adventists who adhered to the health message. The researchers, government people, World Health Organization, whoever they were that were seeking to find out what was the best for the health of their countries, they included the Adventist population in Loma Linda, especially the ones who adhere to the health message, as a benchmark for healthy living. Okay. And the research keeps coming out. Every now and then you will come across an article saying, refined meats are dangerous for your health. Too much red meat is dangerous for your health. Benefits of whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and so on. Now remember, Sister White had said fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts, rest, water, and eating 2 or 3 meals a day. Good. People came out with a realization that, say, 3 servings of fruits per day and 2 or 3 servings of vegetables, or the other way around, 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruits or whatever, were good for you. But they took it for granted that each serving had to be eaten at separate times of day, so you end up eating 5 or 6 times per day. Pardon? Eating? Why, I said something wrong? Eated. It sounds so. You ended up eating 5 or 6 times a day because they assumed that each serving had to be eaten at a separate time of the day. But when I looked at it, I saw that a serving of fruit could be a banana, an apple, an anjou pear, a slice of avocado, an orange. So I said, wait. You don't have to eat all of these things at separate times. You could eat a banana, an orange, an avocado, and some more fruit in one serving, right? One meal, along with your, and then probably rest a few minutes and eat your oatmeal or whatever else you had for breakfast. So that thing about eating 5 times a day went out the window. I had to tell a young lady at work recently, it not to be eaten several times a day. Everything you eat it in the hour, rest for 4 or 5 hours, eat the next meal, and so on and so forth. 2 or 3 meals a day. And you can eat your, recently we've been getting some nice anjou pears. When avocado is in season, we make sure that they're well treated, that they get the Jew desserts, sour salt. And when tomatoes are in season, well, we go to town on the tomatoes and so on. So you didn't have to eat 5 or 6 times a day to get your serving, and servings of fruits and vegetables. And the same thing with the vegetables. You can have your cabbage, you can have your raw salad, you can have your carrots, and all those servings could be eaten in one meal. You don't have to eat 5 or 6 times a day, because the principle that Sister White brought out was 2 or 3 meals and rest between meals. And I could not see how these things could fit in with that. I stuck to what she said and realized that, you could eat 2 or 3 servings of fruit at one time, and then with the other meal, 2 or 3 servings of vegetables, and you did the job. Okay. Next thing you hear is that you need a low-carb diet. Low carbohydrates. This is good. They have some people that are on an all-meat diet, by the way. All right. So a low carbohydrate meant, people thought that meant cut down on all carbohydrates. All right? So they were cutting down. And also, sugar, they discovered sugar was dangerous. So they say cut down on fruits and cut down on all carbohydrates. So that people then resorted to little or no fruit, because that had in sugar, very little beans and peas and grains and so on, because that had in carbs, and obviously the direction they were going in is still more meat. Good. So recently, what has me here and jumping up and down is a study that came out recently. I first picked it up on the BBC, and then I went and searched online and found that, this thing is big. And it's published in the Lancet journal, and, it has the health industry rocking. And is going to rock some more, because it's going to end up hitting people's pockets. Well, listen. The study was on dietary fiber. Okay? This is one article I'm beginning to read from. People who eat higher levels of dietary fiber and whole grains have lower rates of non-communicable diseases compared with people who eat lesser amounts. While links for low glycemic load and low glycemic index diets are less clear, observational studies and clinical trials conducted over nearly 40 years reveal the health benefits of eating at least 25 to 29 grams or more of dietary fiber per day, according to a series of systematic reviews and meta-analyses published in the Lancet. The results suggest a 15 to 30% decrease in all-cause and cardiovascular-related mortality when comparing people who eat the highest amounts of fiber to those who eat the least. In other words, the people who ate the greatest amounts of fiber had a 15 to 30% decrease in mortality from cardiovascular reasons, all types of mortality from cardiovascular reasons, when compared to the people who had little fiber intake. Eating fiber-rich foods also reduced incidence of coronary heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and colorectal cancer by 16 to 24%. Per 1,000 of participants, the impact translated into 13 fewer deaths and 6 fewer causes of coronary heart disease. And as far as these people were concerned, this was major. Increased fiber in the diet, and it had implications for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, etc., etc. In addition, meta-analysis of clinical trials suggested that increasing fiber intake was associated with lower body weight and cholesterol compared with lower intakes. The study was commissioned by the World Health Organization to inform the development of new recommendations for optimal daily fiber intake and to determine the types of carbohydrate that provide the best protection against non-communicable diseases and weight gain. Most people worldwide consume less than 20 grams of dietary fiber per day. In 2015, the UK Scientific Advisory Committee on Nutrition recommended an increase in dietary fiber intake to 30 grams per day, but only 9% of UK adults managed to reach this target. In the US, fiber intake among adults averages 15 grams a day. Rich sources of dietary fiber include whole grains, pulses, vegetables, and fruit. So, they are finding then that dietary fiber is absolutely important for our health, overall health, and the minimal amount we should take in per day is 25 to 30 grams of dietary fiber. What are the main sources of dietary fiber that they are finding? This is not an Adventist study. This is a World Health Organization secular study. The best sources of dietary fiber are fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, beans, and peas. What are they recommending? That we increase our intake of fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts. And when they talk about grains and nuts, beans, and peas, they talk about the whole grains. People who consume more, and the types of dietary fiber, there's a type of dietary fiber in fruit, there's another type in vegetables, there's a type in the grains, and so on, different types of dietary fiber. There is water-soluble fiber, which is important, and there is fat-soluble fiber, which is important. We need to know which foods contain the water-soluble, which contain the fat-soluble. All are important. Oats, for instance, contain the fat-soluble. We should eat. You know, people are selling oat bran separately as well. The oat bran fiber is fat-soluble, so that's important. Now, a couple of other things. We live in a world where we are told antibiotics are important. Okay? Antibiotics. In our body, apparently, there are a lot of living organisms called bacteria live through our bodies. And there's bad bacteria that cause infection, and there's good bacteria that enhance our health. Do you know that this study found that fiber is a favorite diet of the good bacteria? That down in the gut, and especially the lower intestine, they say that what all those bacteria do down there is fantastic stuff, but you don't want to consume it. Let the body deal with it down there. And what they do to that fiber is so beneficial to the body that people are now amazed that they didn't understand this before. At first, I thought that fiber was just a little play thing. Now they're realizing fiber is so important. And the good bacteria, we take a lot of yogurt and what's the other stuff? What is it called, Kelly? Acidophilus and all sorts of things to replenish the good bacteria. You know what they're saying? Eat your fiber-rich foods. the bacteria will gourmandize on that. You know, we like to gourmandize on certain things. The bacteria like fiber. So all types of fiber. The other thing is this, so these are new fields of study opening up. The other thing is this. Brother Steve knows about the low carb diet. But what they're saying is, if you carry the low carb diet too far, you're going to create some other problems because you're going to cut down on your whole grain, the carbs that you get from your whole grains. You're going to cut down on the sugars that you get from fruits, which is good sugar. You know, bananas and the anjou pears, pawpaw, you know, oranges, mangoes, fruit in season, all types of fruit. Eat as much as possible because that sugar from the fruits is not refined sugar. The problem is refined sugar. The sugar from the fruits comes along with the other ingredients that help with the proper absorption and cut down the rate at which it's absorbed into the body, which causes a spike and causes the problems of diabetes and so on. Similarly, the carbohydrates from whole grains are not a problem because they come in a package which includes the other ingredients which assist with the proper absorption and negate some of the problems that you would get if you're eating white flour, white rice, pasta, you know, all those things that are really just refined flour and have no roughage and are bereft of the other ingredients that God put in the grains to make it a complete package. So the saying is this now, that if you take this low carb thing too seriously, you're going to deprive yourself of the whole grains and those other combinations that are beneficial to the entire body, beneficial to the entire health, and help with the absorption of the vast amounts of fiber that we need. So this one study, and it wasn't a fly-by-night study. It involved researchers included 185 observational studies containing data that relate to 135 million person years and 58 clinical trials involving 4,635 adult participants. And they did a thorough study and so on. You know, it's a comprehensive study. All right. That's not all of it. No, they are coming up with an optimal diet. They are recommending an optimal diet. No, this is the thing. We on this planet consume vast amounts of meat per day, per year, involve killing millions of animals. I don't think I could reduce it to thousands, millions of animals on an annual basis. It also involves growing these animals. What does this do to the planet? Obviously, the animals, we and the other animals produce a lot of methane, which is a problem in some way. I might not be able to explain it properly. The other thing is this. In order to grow animals for food, you are using up vast areas of agricultural land, vast amounts of water, and it is causing a problem. No. This is what happens in the food chain. You utilize vast areas of agricultural land to grow grains and vegetable produce to feed the animals. You utilize a lot of water to feed and to grow the animals. And this is what could be happening. All the water that you feed in the animals could go straight to the human beings. And all the grains that you growing to feed the animals, you could feed them straight to the human beings. Cut out the animals with the vast amount of grains and the vast amount of water. Feed the human beings straight. That would cut down on the wastage of lots of resources, agricultural land resources, grain crop resources, and water resources. Let us, as human beings, eat the grain straight rather than passing them through the cows and getting back the meat which contains no fiber. Eat the grain straight that got in the fiber, got in all the good stuff, and you're good to go. You won't have to feed as many animals. Now, I'm not saying get rid of all the animals, but you won't have to grow and feed as many animals, and you won't have to waste all of those resources feeding animals just to eat their meat. When the meat, the red meat now they're showing is a problem, contains little or no fiber, has problems, and it's better to eat the whole grains. So they've come up with a diet, a recommendation. They're saying that they don't want us to tell everybody to go vegan because they're not sure if a vegan diet can provide all the nutrition. Well, they have some research to do on that, and I welcome the research. I'll be glad when it comes. But they're saying cut down on the use of red meat, cut down on the dependence of animals for food, instead of feeding the grains to the cows, killing the cows and selling the meat, feed the grains to the human beings straight. You cut out the intermediaries, better health for human beings. So it gives me encouragement, and it causes me now to want to spread the health message with renewed vigor. You know, when I talking to my friends and so on, I believe I need to be able to tell them, well, you know, this is the way to go. They're going to tell me all sorts of things and say all sorts of things, but when it boils down, the information is there, the facts are the facts. People will come around and people will see the truth and the benefits of this health message. Any questions, comments? Brother Crony.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Two questions. You said that research is suggesting that we should be taking in at least 20 to 30 grams
25 to 30.
25 to 30 grams of fiber per day.
Per day, yeah.
Now, if I want to make an attempt to include sufficient fiber in my diet, I don't get a digital scale and weight.
No.
So how will I know that I am taking in a minimum of 20 to 30 grams of fiber per day? That's one question. The next question is, you spoke about, well, the second question is similar in principle to the first one. You spoke about servings of fruit. What is a serving of fruit? I am not sure.
Right. Well, as I was saying, I've discovered that a serving of fruit would be like one banana, one apple, one orange, one Andrew pear. Well, if you're eating an avocado pear, you might just go for a slice or two, depending on the size of the slice. So a serving of fruit basically was, I came to understand it. Essentially, it was those things. One apple is a serving, one banana is a serving, one orange is a serving, etc., etc., etc. So you can see.
One fruit, individual fruit is a serving?
Basically, yeah.
I know about that.
You don't know? Well, I guess this, depending on the size of the fruit, yes. But you saying, Cherish? You're saying? So you agree with me, Kelly, that a serving is a reasonable size banana, orange, apple? No, a serving. The question he asked is a serving. A serving is essentially one of those fruits at the normal size. All right? Good. Any comments or questions on a serving of fruit? It's a serving. A banana is a serving, yeah. It's another serving, yeah. Well, soursop could be a few servings. Yeah, it's a large fruit. And of course, making a fruit salad is, you know, another option. A good fruit salad is, so A handful of grapes then will be a serving, etc., etc. Any comments on the serving? Questions on the serving? Good. No. In terms of the amount of fiber today, no, this is a combination that they put together. You don't have to stick to this, but you can pick cents from it and see how to go. Good. So to get the full 30 grams, a half cup of rolled oats could provide about 9 grams. Half cup of rolled oats. 2 Weetabix, 3 grams. People used to say, well, I thought Weetabix contained a lot of fiber. 2 Weetabix, it says 3 grams. A thick slice of brown bread. When they say brown bread, it don't have to mean bread that has dyed brown. They mean bread that is made with whole grains. You need to get these definitions right. So a thick slice of whole grain bread. And you have to be careful then where you get this bread from and who bake it. I think we need to learn to bake our own whole grain bread. Right, Shergan? Need to start on the right foot. One of the earliest things you need to set up in a home is a good kitchen with good recipes for whole grain bread and so on and so forth. Good. A cup of cooked lentils contains 2 grams of fiber in a good slice of whole grain bread. 2 grams of fiber. A cup of cooked lentils, 4 grams of fiber. A cup of cooked lentils. You hear Bentley? What Bentley saying? Brother Bentley, was he? A cup of cooked lentils, 4 grams of fiber. We teach a long time ago that you should be making lentil stew, black bean stew, those kind of stews. Fellas coming around. A potato cooked with the skin on. This is, I am assuming, English potato. I don't know what the significance of cooking it with the skin on. Dr. Duggan, you know? You eat the skin?
Fiber.
Under the skin. So you could cook it with the skin on and then peel off the skin. And eat the skin. Eat the skin. Especially sweet potato. Now here they are talking about English potato, but you don't necessarily have to stick to English potato. We have breadfruit, we have yam, we have sweet potato. When you go down to the islands, Brother Shergan, you got dasheen and the whole stuff. People now gotta get accustomed to different diets, right? Half cup of chard or silver beet. What's chard, by the way? A green? Good. So you're talking about spinach. And by the way, I am told that the sweet potato leaves, the beetroot leaves, the carrot leaves, all these things. Of course, you have spinach. And the other ones that coming in from overseas now, kale and so on. I mean, it's stuff coming in from overseas, but really and truly, in the Caribbean, we have stuff already. And we in Barbados, there's throw away a lot of stuff that the other people there's use. So when you see chard, it means green, leafy vegetables, the bush that we put in the food. 1 gram of fiber. A carrot, 3 grams of fiber. An apple with the skin on, 4 grams of fiber. So that's just a sort of an example, but you can fill in your own. The chard, 1 gram of fiber. Half cup of chard is 1 gram of fiber. But eat the spinach and start cooking some beet leaves and potato leaves and so on. Use up the green stuff. Put it in the rice, or just do it with a little onion and tomato sauce, tomato paste, and so on. Eat it with some toast bread. All right, so that's our question, Brother Crony. So obviously there's stuff there that they've recommended, but you can fill in your own substitutes and alternatives. Any further comments or questions, Sister Phyllis? When you start here, Brother Douglin, it's a major study, so.
Good evening. You spoke about probiotics.
Probiotics, yeah.
Yeah. I did a research to find out how you can make your own natural probiotics.
Yeah.
And as you say, you take the vegetable, you put it in a food processor or blender.
Mm-hmm.
Like cabbage, for instance, makes a good probiotic.
Yeah.
It's called it sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut, yeah.
You can put it in a blender or food processor. Then the juice, it will become like juicy. And then you put it in a airtight, like a tight container that have a tight lid. But you must add a little salt to preserve it. Mm-hmm. And you rest it, mostly glass container, and then you rest it on the counter. And within 3 to 5 days, you're ready to eat that. And I try it, and I find that it had me feeling good. That's the truth.
What were the benefits of it?
No, it is like, it gives you the natural probiotics that you want for the healthy gut.
Okay.
As you spoke about, you eat your vegetables, but you can also do it that way.
Okay then, thanks. Steve, you come in?
Sister Phyllis is correct, because I tried it myself.
Yeah.
And I had a surplus of cabbage that I was growing.
Yeah.
Making my own sauerkraut as well.
Yeah.
And it works really, really good. Rather than buying the commercial one, you can make your own.
So you
can use Himalayan pink salt rather than using
y'all have to give us the recipe Himalayan pink salt rather than the one that we buy.
It's where you have excess cabbage.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it in a food processor. You just grate it into a glass bowl or jar.
Yeah.
And put some salt on it and cover it down. The cabbage makes its own juice, and it rises up to the top.
Yeah.
But after about 4 or 5 days, they're ready to eat it. And the longer it stays in the jar, the more probiotics it produces. It's basically fermented cabbage.
Okay.
And you can ferment a lot of fruits because they have found that by fermenting a lot of things, especially soybeans, you get a much better product for your body's health than just trying to eat it the way how the Westerners tend to use it.
So this fermentation has anything to do with the alcohol?
No, fermentation has nothing to do with alcohol in this process.
Just checking.
I like what you presented today, and I hope that at our camps we end up shifting our diet from so much bread, when they can lick me for it if you don't want it, then a problem, and eat more fruits and vegetables and nuts and grains.
Yeah. But nuts and grains, the grains gonna come in the bread too.
Yeah, that's true too. I'll say this now, and I always say this, although I'm not affiliated with the group. I remember going to Idaho 3 years ago, and the toilets had to be cleaned every day.
Yeah.
Because there was tremendous amounts of fiber.
Yeah.
A toilet was around every corner.
Yeah. And filling up quick.
And filling up quick, right.
Yeah.
And I used to wonder, well, they came back home 12 pounds later. I don't know how to eat more food, and yet came back home late.
Okay.
But nonetheless, there was a lot of different types of vegetables served that morning. You can imagine eating vegetables for breakfast.
Yeah.
And then at lunch, there was a lot of leafy vegetables. And, we usually buy broccoli, and we throw away that stem. But that stem was washed and grated or sliced thin and used as a dip.
Right.
Used to dip with. You never threw away anything.
Right.
And they found that the grains in the bread were tremendous amounts of grain. They could actually see the cracked grain when the bread was finished baking. And your stomach wasn't bloaty and such like. The more good fiber you put in, the less bloatiness and air and gas you have sometimes for some people from eating a high fiber diet.
Right. And there are ways and means of like cooking the beans and so on to get rid of some of the gas and so on. So I think we are in a position now to move forward with developing our recipes and so on, and making sure that our people understand the importance of the diet and how to prepare good, healthy meals that benefit the body in so many ways. Yeah, Brother Steve again?
I know a lot of people hear about the way how you're talking now. People are going to say that the food is going to taste kind of bland. It's going to be plain. But that's because our appetites have been perverted. Is your way makes this statement here? Often health reform is made health deformed by the unpalatable preparation of food. She says the lack of knowledge regarding healthful cookery must be remedied before health reform is a success.
Right.
So we must have more people who come up with nice dishes, like Sister Phyllis and the others over here might be preparing healthful dishes, to come and show to the church some Sunday afternoons, the case maybe, how to prepare their dish.
Yeah.
In a secret, share your knowledge. Remember that sharing,
Right.
caring.
Yeah, preparing the dish and giving samples and letting people see right there how it tastes. I think we started a good thing at camp. We should continue, and obviously we could arrange to have some Sunday afternoon demonstrations as well. All right, so that's it then, because we need to move on. But I was really excited about this research coming out. So and meals can be done tastily, and so on and so forth, and it can be enjoyable. Yeah. Find the right combinations and come to the wicket. All right, so we finish there and move on to the next presentation. Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the time we've spent in studying this important aspect of your message for this time. Help us to gain the understanding of the health message that we need and be able to come up with practical ways and means of utilizing it, sharing it, teaching it, and making it known, and then using it for the benefit of ourselves, our children, and your work in the earth. In Jesus' name.